Hello, everyone. This is Ruth. Welcome back to Struggling Christians. It's been a while. How are you guys doing? How are you coping with, this period? I don't want to mention it. I feel like we're heading out already, as I said in my last podcast. So thank God for that. This month we're talking about sex. So, sex. Let's talk about sex. I know that it's not a conventional topic, it's not something that you necessarily want to hear on a Christian podcast. However, maybe that's the problem. Maybe we're not talking about sex as much as we should in the church. And I think that we should, because guess what? If you don't if you don't give people information about something from the church, they're going to go and get it from somewhere else. And hence, they get falsified information, wrong information, and you know, that's how the world just starts to go upside down. So basically, let's jump into today's word. So, talking about sex, no doubt, sex is confined to the institution of marriage according to the Word of God. I'm not going to try to convince you on that or otherwise. That's not why we're here today. You can read further in Hebrews 13:4, Ephesians 5:3, Mark 10:6-9. But what I want to talk about today is, let's step out a little bit. So we know that we should not be committing fornication, which is having sex prior to marriage. And we also know that we should not be committing adultery, which is having sex with someone else that is not your spouse. But these things still happen. So now, I just want to put this out there, specifically speaking to young people. You are not abnormal for feeling or getting the urges that you have. Roundabout between the age of 9 to 12, young people experience hormonal changes, external influences such as, their peers, like your friends, social media, internet. These things increase your sexual awareness. So as a result, it's normal to have questions, it's normal to have thoughts and desires from a certain point. However, what to do when you have these urges is the next question. Now, sometimes you might meet someone when you're young and you feel like, oh, you love this person and you think that you want to spend the rest of your life with them. As a result, some people feel like, oh, it's fine since we're going to get married anyways. I have friends that have that mentality and they're not even young people. They're like legit in their middle late 20s and they think this is normal. However, I put it to you that it goes beyond that. It does go beyond that. The most important thing here as a child of God is respecting God's command. Now, God says something is not good for you. It's not because He wants to deprive you of the pleasures that you get from sex. It's simply because He knows what is good for you. So let's put that behind our mind. Now, I'm of the opinion that if you cultivate such a habit, like fornication, you definitely leave room and open doors for other sins such as adultery in the future. I'm of that opinion. That's my opinion. Now, I'm just going to, by myself, give you some practical tips that I have tried to incorporate into my life. Now, some people knowing that I do some of these things look at me and refer to me as a fanatic, as a Christian fanatic, like, oh, she does too much. But guess what? The world is too horrible out there for me not to do too much. So thank you. I do too much. But here are some of my tips. I mean, I've had experiences with sex in the sense that I have been sexually active and at the same time, I have been celibate for a bit now. So these are just my tips on how God has helped me walk through, daily getting over this feeling, urges, and habits as well. So the first one is, if you're going to be in a relationship with someone, I think that you both have to love God more than you love each other. Now, here's the problem if you have someone that loves you more than they love God. When those urges come, it would be way, way, way much easier for you guys to fight it together as a team. For you guys to say, oh no, we really want to respect God. Let's keep this together. However, if that's not the case, then well, I don't need to tell you what's gonna happen then. Number two, come to my place, gang. Come over, gang. You know yourselves. And if you're being honest with yourself, you are just pricing what you can't afford to buy. Why? Why? I'll leave that there. You know what that means. I think that to tackle number two, I think that you should always have people around you. I think that you should always cultivate the habit of hanging around when people are around you, public places. But that's my opinion. What do I know? Number three, define your relationship standards and be intentional about your standards. Now, are your standards God's standards? That's another thing. Now, the next question that will come is, what is God's standard? Now, you can go to his words. I have given you more, I think I've given you 3 Bible passages earlier, but guess what? If you really, really, really want to know what God's standard for, keeping yourself as a temple of God, keeping yourself together till marriage, you can find loads of Bible passages that direct you that puts you in the right direction on that. And you can, what I do when I want something to stick is I write it on like a sticky note. I have a board that I paste it on, and so I constantly see it all the time, and it just helps me that way. Number 4, stop forming hard guy. You are not too big to be tempted. I promise you, you are not too big to be tempted. Even if you've been celibate for a year, for 2 years, guess what? The devil is still lurking around to tempt you. Don't put too much confidence in your flesh. Like, it's your flesh we're talking about here. It's your flesh. It doesn't know any better. Personally, I used to think that so long as I'm single, I'm fine. But do you know that there are just random days where I get horny? Like, I just have urges. Random days. Now, for some of you that have been sexually active before, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's not BS, okay? It's not even a joke. So if you think that maybe being single, or that, okay, because you've been celibate for such a long time, the devil cannot tempt you, that's a big fat lie. The only way to prepare yourself is by praying ahead. It is a daily struggle, guys. It's a daily battle. Like, it is a daily battle, I promise you. Number 5, stop beating yourself up and involve God. See, time heals everything, guys. Time. Just give it time. You could be sex craved today and be in complete abstinence tomorrow. Give God time to help you. Give yourself time to heal. Even when you slip up, instead of running from God, because that's what most of us do, we feel like we are undeserving of his love. We feel ashamed. That's what the devil wants you to feel. And as a result, he gives you the idea that you should run from God. But God is saying, run to me. Like, involve God in your mess. He loves you so much. He wants to know. He's there, like, waiting, yearning to listen to you. He wants to know. Run to him. The last but not the least is number 6. Be careful what you expose yourself to. Now, what you listen to, what you watch, the people around you, these all serve as triggers for you sexually. And this is not just for people that have been sexually active before. Even if you're a virgin, like, as I said, between the age of 9 to 12, you start getting urges. Your sexual awareness increases on a daily basis. So you have questions, you have thoughts. So what you put in yourself, garbage in, garbage out. Like what you put in yourself is exactly what you will manifest. So guys, we need to be mindful of that. Get drunk with spirit things. Get drunk with the word, with messages, with Christian podcasts. Like there's so many options there, guys. With Christian books. Like these things sound weird or they sound like, oh, you're doing too much, but they really are not. That is the only way to stay in line, to stay in that spirit realm with God on a daily basis. So, guys, I believe that if you can try to put in these 6 tips, you know, into maybe some of the other precautions that you're taking sexually, I believe that you would be able to overcome. Now, the video of this month's topic is going to be epic. I have a crowd of people. They're yearning, they're there to share their experiences sex wise and just share like more tips as well on how they've been able to deal with these things. And obviously also there are also people that have like different opinions on sex and all that. So you don't want to miss the video for this month. Make sure you tune in. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I love you and I hope that you join me in my next podcast. Bye bye guys.